Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Couple channel. I'm Wendy and here is my non-spoiler review for The Tiger's Apprentice. A young boy in San Francisco meets a talking tiger named Mr. Who and discovers he's the latest in a long line of guardians who protect an ancient phoenix from evildoers. This is an animated film from Paramount Plus, created for streaming for Paramount Plus, and it's adapted by the novel of the same name written by Laurence Yep. I did not know the story of The Tiger's Apprentice. I didn't even realize that it was a book until the trailer came out and we watched it and we kind of read up, Dustin and I read up a little bit more about it, and we realized that it's not just one novel, it's like a book series and it's pretty popular. So as you heard in the description earlier, it focuses on a young Chinese American boy who comes from a long line of guardians, and he realizes this after he meets a talking tiger. Who is not always, by the way, just want to clarify, he's not always in tiger form. He is able to shapeshift into human form as well. But that's not all. So Tom, our main character, Tom comes from a long line of guardians. His grandmother is also a guardian. And Mr. Who, the tiger, as well as the other 11 other animals in the Chinese zodiac, are protectors of the guardians. I think the story is a lot of fun. It focuses on the 12 Chinese zodiacs. It has magic and mythical powers. Our delicious villain in this film is voiced by Michelle Yeoh. I don't think I've ever heard Michelle Yeoh voice a evil character, and she is evil. And she sounds so good doing it. I can't wait for her to be a villain again in another project. The runtime for The Tiger's Apprentice is at 90 minutes, so it's fast-paced. The very first act really sets up of, the guardians, who they are, what did they do, and what it is that they're protecting, which is the phoenix from evildoers. So the guardians have powers and magic on their own, but sometimes they also need the protection of the 12 zodiacs to help defend the monsters that come after the phoenix. There's this really cool opening action sequence between the guardian and our baddie, Michelle Yeoh's character, Lou. And I had so much fun watching. It was fast-paced. The animation's a lot of fun. And I feel like that scene really kicked everything into gear for me. So throughout the movie, as Tom finds out that he comes from a long line of guardians, this is huge news for him. He had never known, but slowly everything he kind of remembers growing up is slowly to, make sense. Like, oh, that's why grandma did this, and that's why I experienced this. And so now he starts his own journey on learning how to become the guardian. And there's a lot of fun with that. Most of his interaction is with Mr. Who, the tiger, but the other zodiacs get in on it too, like the rat, the monkey, the dragon, and the rabbit. There's a lot of witty banters back and forth, a lot of fun to watch. Though I will say, I feel like the 90-minute runtime wasn't enough for the movie. I feel like as I was watching, the first act was really, really strong. It established the base. It established where Tom is at this exact point once he finds out he comes from a long line of guardians and he could be in danger and, having to protect the phoenix. All of that moved along really, really great. When we get to the second act, it kind of dips. The energy of it dips. I don't know if I feel like there was maybe a little bit too much exposition. And there was also, it feels like they edit out too much. I don't want to reveal anything because this is meant to be a non-spoiler review, but there are certain things that happen that if you were a participating party who had no idea about the guardians and the zodiacs and you see this happen, you would question it. Instead, they just kind of go, well, okay, and then they just kind of move on and help along. And I was like, well, no, I want this to kind of have a second and let it simmer, and it didn't. So I feel like they skipped a lot. I feel like for book readers, they are able to have a lot more context on certain things that happen. There's also an additional scene that happens when Tom kind of discovers what the phoenix is all about, and it was so short-lived and it felt kind of shoehorned in, and I feel like either they should have expanded that scene a little bit longer or just save it for the third act when they bring that whole thing back in, because it's kind of, you put it in, it gets forgotten, and then later on we're like, oh, right, because this happened, but the scene was under 5 minutes. Not even. So that's one of the things I really didn't like about this movie, was that it was so fun. The pacing for Act 1 was so strong, and then the second one, they just really lost. I felt like they lost the grip with the storytelling and the direction they wanted to go, because there was a lot of stuff happening and they were trying to tell it all, but it didn't come together. They did bring it back together for Act 3 though, and when, when the climax of the film happens, when the big fight breaks out, as you know, in all action/mythical movies, right? And that was a lot of fun to watch. As far as animation goes, it's fine. It's made for streaming, so do remember that when you watch it. And also, I think for the most part, when people watch it on whether their laptops or their TV, their eyes won't really be able to pick it up. At my screening, it was put on the big screen in a theater, so you could really pick up the little details, like for Who, for example, when he's in his tiger form, the hairs doesn't really move with him when he moves, whether he's running, fighting, or walking. It doesn't really, like, it moves, but very slightly. And I say this because I think we're so, like, animation has come so far that in a lot of films we see just the finest details. This isn't one of them. While it's pretty and bright and a lot of the action scenes so cool, little details like that do stand out, especially when you watch it on a big screen. But again, this movie is made for streaming. It's going directly to Paramount Plus. It's not having a theatrical release. So for the most part, people watching at home, I don't think will pick that up. The cast performances, they're fantastic. That's a stacked cast, and a lot of them have already been doing voice work for a while. Like Leia Lewis, she was in Elemental, Sandra Oh, Invincible, and etc. So yeah, great cast, great performances. I'm gonna go ahead and give you my rating for the movie. The movie couple rating is a little different. It is listed for you in the video description below if you want to check it out. This movie, like I mentioned before, it is going straight to streaming on Paramount Plus. So I am going to give this movie a stream it. I think the story is a ton of fun. I can see exactly why they were attracted to take the novel and adapt it into an animated film. I wish that they did the story more justice by filling it out a little bit more. I felt like they were trying to make it fit into this 90-minute runtime for streaming, but I think really they did the story an injustice by shortening. Like, I feel like the edit, you could tell that they were making the edits, and I almost feel like this would have been better as a limited series if they expanded this into like a 3-part limited series or something like that to really flesh out the story. Anyways, that is my non-spoiler thoughts on The Tiger's Apprentice. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And of course, if you've read the book, how do you compare it to the movie? Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.